Hey, so I was asked a question earlier this week. Got a really nice message from a woman who's was inquiring about my coaching, and she asked me the question, "Why do I do what I do? How did I get into coaching?" And it got me thinking. So I woke up this morning and I've spent 3 hours writing a blog post. Going back, looking back at my life and pulling apart what I think were the sort of key moments that led me to do what I do. And I was really happy with it, and I published it, and only half of it is saved. So it's one of those moments where I was just distraught, and I was like, oh my god. But hey, I can't change it. I've emailed the people, but I thought, right, in the meantime, shoot a video, get it done while it's sort of fresh in my head. So I'm going to recap it as best I can. It took me 3 hours to write it. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. I'm going to aim for about 10 minutes. Okay. Um, so, so to begin, when I was at school, I'd say I was a floater. So probably a weird word to describe myself, but what I mean by that is, I sort of floated through education, so I didn't know what I wanted to do. The cliche question was, "Oh, so what are you going to do when you leave school? What do you want to do when you're older?" I just didn't know. I just didn't know. I just always found that a really wet and sort of flimsy question. What do I want to do? So just never did anything for me. I dabbled with different ideas. So the RAF I looked at and I applied a few times. I was unsuccessful. I looked at being a teacher. If you go back to when I was 5 or 6, I wanted to be a wrestler. Okay. I really didn't have that definite idea that a lot of people have. But I always had a really strong work ethic. That's something I can say I'm proud of. So when I was 15, for example, I had 3 jobs. So I was a paper boy in the morning. I went to Millets, the outdoor shop, and I used to work there as a sales rep. And then I'd be washing plates in a Chinese restaurant at Honeymoon Garden in Paddock Wood, if you know it. So that was me. So I was 15, good work ethic. I was making pretty good money for a 15-year-old. Um, and I mean, yeah, to be honest, I probably would have done it just for the Chinese at the end of the day. But hey, so that was me. Not sure what I wanted not sure what I wanted to do, um, but had a really strong sort of work ethic. Um, so when I was 20, so let's move forward to when I was 20. I experienced something I never thought I'd experience, and that was anxiety. So I started to develop panic attacks, and I remember my first panic attack quite well. And if you've experienced anxiety, you can relate just how uncomfortable and just how alien it is. It's a scary thing. It's a scary thing. So my first panic attack, I'll talk about briefly. So it just felt like something in my head just snapped. Something was just too much. So I ran downstairs. I went to the kitchen. My brother was there, my little brother, and he could see that I was worked up about something. He said like, "What's up, Will?" And I just said, "I don't know. I just don't know what's wrong. Just something doesn't feel right." I felt numb. I just felt really disassociated. It was almost like I was looking at the world, but I wasn't involved. I felt like I died, and I was just looking at everyone else, and it was horrible. And I ran upstairs. I laid down on the bed, and racing thoughts, palpitations, sweaty. I mean, I got so worked up, I made myself sick. I sort of vomited. My mum came in, bless her. She came in and she calmed me down, um, and I was all right. It took a while, but I was all right. I laid there, and I remember I watched Marley and Me. I was in bed, 20 years old, watching Marley and Me. I was thinking like, what? Where the hell's this come from? What's caused this? I always thought I was a sort of reasonably confident guy, and I felt that life was going all right. I thought anxiety was for like sort of shy people. I was just really ignorant looking back. Uh, so I went to the doctors the next day. My dad, bless him, he took me there. Um, and the first thing the doctor asked me was, "Oh, do you take drugs? Are you on drugs?" And I said, "No, I don't take drugs." Because I described my symptoms, and he said, "Well, sort of sounds like that." And then he started to ask me some really telling questions about my lifestyle. So he said, what do I do? I said, I've just started a new job. I'll talk about that in a moment. But it emerged that my party lifestyle back then probably wasn't helping me. I wasn't being so kind to myself. So like most 20-year-old lads, it was out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I used to drink Guinness. I used to drink a lot of Guinness. I used to smoke, but I used to go out at the weekends, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, smoke 20 a night. I wouldn't smoke during the week. So the effect this was having on my body and my mind, this rush of nicotine and this alcohol, no wonder that I ended up getting palpitations, and it was too much. So we asked these, some really sort of telling questions, and it started to pull together. And I was like, I could see where this had come from. It snuck up on me, and I just had to get really honest with myself. So so I started this new job, insurance company, and it was challenging. It was really tough. I struggled a lot. I felt very much under pressure and a lot of overwhelm. The people I work with are great. Absolutely loved the office, loved the environment, but the job itself was, I felt like I was at my depth. So that was really tough. So, I kept having these anxiety attacks, these panic attacks. So sometimes, sort of in the toilet, just I'd have to run there and just throw water in my face. It just felt like just the world was falling around me. So like I said, I had to get real. I had to get honest with myself and look at my life. So I call it the weekend millionaire syndrome. So I'd spend a lot of money on going out, trying to impress people, buying expensive clothes I could afford, buying drinks for everyone. I was seen as this sort of like, it's nice. I want to be seen as nice and generous. That was important to me. But the way that I funded this was through money which wasn't my own. So I started sort of borrowing money. Started off quite innocently, so just the odd 10, 20 quid from family and friends. But like with a lot of things, they get momentum and it grows. And I ended up borrowing money off of Wonga.com, Payday UK, as well as some sort of smaller, sort of more dodgier ones where the interest is high. And I got stuck in a rut, and it got difficult, and I ended up, on reflection, it was about £2,000 worth of debt. And there I'd be consistently, early hours in the toilet of a nightclub, drunk out my skull, going on Wonga.com, borrowing like an extra 50 quid. I'm going to pay back like 70 quid, just so I can buy these drinks, just so I can get a taxi home. And, just this madness looking back at it. So I knew what was causing it. I became aware of the things I was doing, the way I was living, and how it was causing this anxiety. And it was horrible. I wanted to get out of it. It wasn't a nice place to live. And this was, I felt a lot of shame. I felt I felt very low self-esteem. I was living this lie, and I was bullshitting. I was giving off this sort of air of confidence and success, and it wasn't. That wasn't me. Very insecure, I'd say as well. I wanted to make a change. I wanted to turn it around. I wanted to get out of this hole. So I started to make little changes. So one of the things I started to do was start walking every night. So I'd finish work. I was quite a big lad as well, looking back, carrying a few extra pounds. The amount of calories in Guinness is no surprise. But just walking, just to clear my head, and I found that so sort of calming. I sort of cut down on the cigarettes, cut down on the alcohol, and again started to realise that was helping. Some of the palpitations, where your heart sort of goes faster, they became less and less severe and less frequent. And meditation was amazing. Just mindfulness. So with anxiety, it's always you're always worrying about the future, whether it's conscious or not. On some level, I was always thinking about the future. But just to to be present and just look around and just breathe. I wasn't breathing when I was anxious. I wasn't breathing. And, you get the tight chest, and it's not nice. So I started to make these little changes, and going the other way. So all this debt and all these bad habits are just dragging me down and down. So I got to the bottom, and I was like, right, I need to get back up. So these little changes were helping. But I felt I needed to do something bigger. I felt I needed to do something maybe drastic. That's the word I'd probably use. So I went to New Zealand. I booked a one-way flight to New Zealand, and I flew there with just £500 in my pocket. Now, I could talk forever about New Zealand. If you know me, you know how special it is to me. But I went there, and I'll summarise that just by saying it was the best thing I've done, or ever did, and just so refreshing. I came back just ready to start my next chapter of my life, and I felt I was in such a more honest and healthy place physically and mentally. So I came back and started working in my old secondary school, Muscles School, and absolutely loved it. Fell in love with the role. So I was working in learning support. I was a TA, and absolutely loved it. Awesome, like dream team of people I work with. I work with awesome people, and yeah, so I sort of rekindled with the idea of becoming a teacher, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. I think I'd have loved it, but to teach so many students, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, I've got massive respect for teachers. Just don't think that was right for me. So what I loved was, providing the emotional support. So I used to work a lot with students with sort of autism, ADHD. So although academically that was really important, I loved getting results and progress there. It was really the pastoral side of things, the emotional support and the mindset. I mean, in New Zealand, I've learned so much about the mind. I started to understand why I was being anxious, from a scientific sort of psychological point of view. So I fell in love with the job. That's how I sort of discovered tutoring. So like I said, I loved, and I do love the academic side of it. But for me, it was almost like the mindset was equally important, working on improving, the attitude and, self-belief. And as if by magic, I got approached by a few parents saying, could I tutor their children? And I was getting results, and and it was great. So that's where my tutoring has sort of developed. And right now, I work with students all over the UK, and I work with people locally here in Germany as well. And I get great results academically, but also to confidence as well. Because once the confidence and the self-belief rises, so will the results as well. So that's it. So I was tutoring, and there was still something missing. There was still this deeper level of sort of service that I was sort of craving. I looked at counselling for a while. Felt counselling probably wasn't the right discipline for me. So I did a free weekend on NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and that was brilliant. That was almost tying all these loose ends together. So I learned a lot at this weekend, and I googled other sort of free courses I could do, and discovered the Coaching Academy. It's the largest coaching training provider in the UK. And I went there, and if you've ever had one of those moments where you're sitting there and someone's speaking, whether it's like a teacher, a trainer, or a speaker, and you feel like they're talking to you, and this woman was talking about the benefits of being a coach and what you could do for people and how you could be a part of their journey. And I was there just like this is it. This is exactly what I want. This is what I need. This is that missing piece of the puzzle, if you like. So naturally, I sort of jumped at the chance, applied, got a place, got sort of a bursary, got sort of sponsored for that. And that's ongoing. I'm learning with the Coaching Academy, and that was amazing, And again, coming back to here and now, I coach people back in the UK over Skype or telephone. I work with people locally. I've got clients in Germany, and also starting to move into Luxembourg as well, because I live right on the border. And it's just amazing. And it's I almost needed that really dark, horrible spell. And even as I talk about it, you can tell that it's uncomfortable, and that's a completely different place from what I'm talking about where I am now. It's just it's mad. So that's where I am today, and I wanted to share this because I wanted to share why I'm so passionate about what I do. What are the things, what are the moments that have caused that? and I'm completely dedicated. I love what I do. Really feel like I was born to do this. I was born to do this. Um, and that may sound, really airy fairy, but I don't care. Like, I mean it. That's when I say that, I mean that. And yeah, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was to have this so I can show to people and explain my story, explain why I do what I do. But also, like, when I was writing the blog this morning, it was also about reaching out to people, because I was in a really dark place, and I didn't speak to many people about it, if not any, in the beginning. Um, and it's horrible, But the moment I took a step, the moment that I got help, everything started to get better. Everything started to get better. It's like I was, you know, I'd describe it as being at the bottom of a swimming pool and it was pitch black. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where I was. But it's almost like by taking a step, it's like I found the bottom of the swimming pool and I've taken that sort of jump. And it was slow in the beginning. I mean, one of the first things I did was just get like a debt advice plan. So speaking to an absolute stranger, but she changed my life. She said, "We can help," and just those 3 words, saying "we can help," changed it. And I was able to take those little steps, and I was able to coach myself to make those changes. So if I've hit a nerve, if I'm talking about something which for you is happening right now, whether it's whether it is anxiety, whether it is debt, whether it is that low self-esteem that I had, whether it's not knowing what you want to do, there's people out there who can help, and things will get better. But you need to talk, you need to do that. So thank you. So nearly 17 minutes. I've probably waffled on longer than expected, but I want to do this. I think it's important. So thank you for watching. I feel good that I've got that out of my system. I don't feel bad now that that's lost on the blog. So thank you so much for watching this. Wish you an awesome day, awesome week, awesome lifetime. And yeah, look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.